Welcome to day 21 of the Winning Emo Breakdown Challenge slash content sprint. Um, so I gotta break it to you guys. I missed a day. This was supposed to come out yesterday, but life would have it that that I couldn't make it happen. I chose to get a good night of sleep instead of crank this out with little energy at 9:30, 10 in the evening. So, which for me is pretty late to be looking at a screen. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sorry I missed a day. And I feel like for me, guys, we're 2/3 of the way through, and that I just want to be intentional. I want to be honest with my energy, and of course, we're making this, we're finishing the challenge. But what I mean by that is, I don't want this to feel uh, like it's a hassle. So that's why I'm recording this one in the middle of the day, and really the reason why this is I wasn't able to make it is I started a new copywriting job in addition to my freelance clients. So recently I was able to, I don't know if I talked about it in my last video, but I landed a gig, and it's pretty cool, but it's hell. It's like a ton of work right off the bat, and a lot of training and all this stuff. So I'm gonna get right back into it after this, but I wanted to not show up like all sluggish and like I don't want to be here, because these are fun for me, and I genuinely enjoy making these videos. So I just wanted to share, because I think, if you're watching, I really appreciate you, and I think you deserve to hear about, get like a little inside scoop, right? And hear about what's going on in my life. And if you want to share about your life, you know, share. Put it in the comments, whatever. All right, let's get right into it. So, um, today's email is kind of intense, honestly, but this is a really good example of nurturing, and it's a really good example of an amazing subject line, and it's a really good example of how you can literally take any story in your life, and somehow, if you can find uh, uh, a way to connect it to your product, which a lot of the times you can, especially if you're personal, like you're an entrepreneur or you have your own business and you provide the service or you sell products. There's so many ways you can connect stories in your life, and as you see, this one in particular is kind of insane. So this one is the worst day of my life and how it benefits you. Now, that out of all the subject lines I've seen, this one might take the cake. It's up there at the very least. The worst day of my life and how it benefits you. First of all, you want to know, you're going to read that and you're going to be like, the worst day of my life? Holy shit, this person is going through it right now. And there's that part of us that wants to know the inside scoop. We want to know what's going on. And for someone to say it's the worst day of their life, it's got to be bad. And if you have any sort of integrity with your list, you're not going to just say that and not mean it. If she were to say that and then she's like, I'm just fucking with you. The McDonald's was closed when I went over there. People are probably going to unsubscribe, because you're doing shady things to get opens, which I wouldn't recommend. So, the worst day of my life and how it benefits you. Just an incredible subject line, right? It's novel. You don't really see that. And it's personally rewarding. It's relevant to the person. Benefits me? Huh? What do you mean it benefits me? How? Okay. So I still remember it clear as day. I'd been patiently waiting for my new baby boy to arrive for nearly 9 months. I was severely sick for most of my pregnancy, but that didn't even matter. I was just excited to be a mom. So it's starting right in the middle of the story. The night before he was born, I felt something off in my body. I couldn't put my finger on it. So this right here, starting in the middle, right? Always want to start in the middle. You don't. Once upon a time, there was a boy. You don't have so much time in an email. You don't have the. There's only so much copy. Start in the middle. Get right to it. Right? Or you could start at the end. There's different ways, right? You could start at the end of a story, and like reverse, like movies do that a lot. That's when I knew I fucked up or whatever, that's when Jackson knew he whatever. So you can do that as well, but you want to start in the action. That is the point. Felt something off in my body. So that's raising the tension. Okay, what was off? Right? Just like a song, right? There's going to be like a storyline and there's going to be a point of tension. You play that chord, that minor note in the song that's supposed to be major, right? Or if you're not a musician or if you're not really familiar with theory, essentially any point that seems off. And if it seems off, like something could go wrong, that increases the tension. If it's all happy all the time, there is no story. We need something to be sad, like off or sad or negative, because that is life. Stories are a reflection of life, right? If every story was nice, when was the last time you wanted to watch a movie that was just all happy? Never, ever. Because why the fuck would you watch that? It's not even anything close to reality. Even in movies that are set in space and stuff, or set in some alternate world, there still is that point of tension. And then you'll see now it's gonna increase. They're gonna keep stoking that tension. It's just storytelling, right? I couldn't put my finger on it, but something didn't feel right. Hmm. Damn. Unfortunately, growing up, I was taught to ignore my emotions and push through the pain. Oops. Hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. I almost lost the document. Okay, let's go back to where we were. But something didn't feel right. Unfortunately, growing up, I was taught to ignore my emotions and push through the pain instead of trusting my intuition. So you got to think what she's doing here or what the copywriter is doing. This is very on brand. This is about to be a dark story. Okay? This is the worst day of her life, and you'll see why. But she keeps it on brand. As long as who you're talking to can relate, then you're telling the right story. But if it's like not relatable, then you shouldn't be telling the story to begin with. Because you're going to connect it to what you sell. And what you sell is going to be to a specific a specific person rather, right? So you need to stick with who you are meant to be talking to, if that makes sense. You need to talk to that person. All right, I'm yapping a lot in this one, aren't I? And I have like 9 million other things to do after that. This is great. Thumbs up. So growing up, right, taught to push through the pain. She's talking to women. She's talking to women that are more intuitive, you can say, than men, right? She knows who she's talking to. Her person is a woman who is, you'll see, who is a specific kind of woman who has a goal in life, a specific kind of goal. So I did, right? Instead of trusting my intuition, so I did. I pushed through the pain. I woke up the next day with strong contractions. My intuition was screaming at me to get to the hospital. I got there, panicked, and the worst sentence I've heard in my life, Danette, I can't begin to describe how hard it is to say this, but there's no heartbeat. Damn. I couldn't take it. I burst into an uncontrollable hysterical cry. and felt like my entire world had been ripped apart. And then came the worst part. I still had to give birth to my lifeless, sweet little baby boy. I know it sounds strange, but when the doctors lay him on my chest, I still remember crying but feeling an immense sense of peace. If I felt as if he were watching over me, and still do. On the ride home, I kept staring at the empty car seat, screaming to myself in my head, it was all my fault. I was completely riddled with guilt. The next 3 months were the darkest months of my life. My body physically wanted to take care of the baby, but couldn't. My mind and soul screamed to see the baby boy, but he was gone. I didn't leave the house for 3 entire months. As horrible as that all sounds, I feel it was a turning point in my life. So this is the point where the tension is about to resolve. This was all the tension. It's like horrible, horrible. Gives birth, you know, stillborn child, still stillborn baby. It's and feeling completely riddled with guilt is a relatable feeling, even if you haven't been in this situation. It's terrible. This really is the worst day, right? During a walk, I felt the world open up around me. In an instant, everything became clear, and it was as if my soul began to finally release the darkness that had surrounded me in the past few months. A voice told me it was time to start healing myself, and this time I listened. Over the next few months, I began focusing on healing foods, healing movements, and a healing mindset. All the negative aspects of my life began to fall away. My broken marriage fell away. My old eating habits died off, and my mindset shifted from one of being a victim to one of taking control of my life. I began telling my personal training clients everything was happening and experimenting having them do the same. They immediately began having similar massive transformational experiences like I went through, and my personal training business exploded. So there's a silver lining, right? Eventually, I realized that my true calling in life was to experience this concept of healing foods, movement, and mindset. And at this point, we've now influenced over 1 million women across the world. So, this is what makes this a very good email. It's so emotional. It's deep. It makes you feel some kind of way. It's maudlin. It's sentimental. Whatever word you want to freaking use, right? But at the same time, all the persuasion slash copywriting and marketing tactics are still being used. Look at this. We've now influenced over 1 million women across the world. So she said that whole story and she realized she needed to be more in touch with her intuition, right? And she felt like obviously riddled with guilt. Right? She needed to start healing herself, and a voice told her to do it. So this whole experience, this voice told her to start healing herself, and she started to heal herself, right? And she did that throughout all of her life. So that's her angle. She's saying, this is my angle. And it's connected to such a powerful story. I mean, if you're a woman who's, trying to lose weight and change their life, why wouldn't you work with someone like this? Um, okay, so why share this traumatic story? So there's the churn. Now we're getting started because it reminds me of you. So many women are haunted by what's happened until now. They guilt themselves into thinking it's their fault for being overweight, but that's a lie. The truth is, it's not your fault. If you're like the vast majority of my amazing community, you've tried 1, 3, 5 different methods for achieving your dream body, right? So, truth is, it's not your fault. She's removing blame, right? This right here, that's just a pain point. That's the pain point. Feeling that guilt for being overweight. And it's not your fault. Damn. Okay, tell me more. Tell me more. Telling someone it's not their fault is such a strong way to be like, to almost invalidate everything they've done, not in their experience, not as if like it doesn't mean anything, but it's like invalidate those. This is why that didn't work. Let me tell you why. It's not your fault. This is why. So now they're going to come to you with a sense of responsibility and accountability because you've established that stuff isn't working and it's not your fault. Versus you showing up as just another commodity, as just another provider, right? So if you're like the vast majority, right? Vast majority of my amazing community, right? I think we already said this 1, 3, 5 different methods. So what hasn't worked? It's not your fault. Pain points, it's not your fault. And also, I'm going to address what hasn't worked. So she's objection handling is what she's doing here. Objection handling. Yet nothing has worked. Here's why. And let me tell you why. Let me explain myself. I'm never going to make a point without backing. Reason why copy. I'm always going to tell you this is why. Most fitness experts are focused on what to eat and how to move your body. They're obsessed with following specific, strict rules, forcing you to eat certain foods and do certain workouts. Considering most women are not successful losing weight, following a strict diet is clearly not enough. I've discovered your mind is the key to lasting weight loss. If you believe food sticks to your hips, hold on, let's take a step back. That's the unique mechanism right there, you guys. That's the unique mechanism. I've discovered, here's my discovery, right? Identity, struggle, her struggle. Discovery, there's a discovery, and this is how I'm going to provide it to. Result. These are the results. By the way, that's a 60-second sales hook from Kevin Rogers from Copy Chief, that formula. But I mean, you see it everywhere, right? So if you believe food sticks to your hips, if you just look at it, food sticks to your hips, if you just look at it, or you aren't worthy to be sexy, your subconscious mind will sabotage all your weight loss efforts, regardless of what program you're following. Couple that with a focus on healing foods and healing movements with plenty of wiggle room so it's easy to follow, and you can see why it's so powerful. This is why we have so many success stories from women who have failed on other programs, from women in their 20s all the way up in their 70s to women in their 70s. Yet I realize that you've likely been told this is different before. Interesting. That's interesting. So this is different. Like a lot, she's calling it out. People have told you this is different. People have done this, and I'm going to give this to you, which is why I've decided to give you the entire DVD for free. Interesting. You can get it here. And there's a CTA. It's the perfect solution if you want to stop dieting, skipping meals, and want to drop a few pounds without starving yourself. So easy results, essentially, right? Without starving yourself. Common objection. I don't want to starve myself. I want to lose weight, right? If you're looking to put your life back together, and there's that future pacing, stop feeling overweight and ashamed every time you get dressed or undressed, I highly recommend taking a look at how easy and simple change can be. Go get it. Go here to get it now for free. Sending you all my love. Wow. Well, that was a really good email. I mean, that was just straight up powerhouse of an email in terms of story, in terms of persuasion mechanisms, in terms of relatability. That was a really good one, and that's why I wanted to break this one down in particular. So I hope you enjoyed. We're right under 20 minutes. I'll see you here tomorrow for day 22. Peace.